Good morning. Or whatever it is, wherever you are. Hmm. Even though these might be kind of straightforward and eliminate some special cases, I'm really more interested in the feedback. Multiple search terms might be a UI challenge. Redoing how the layers work could be a big UI challenge. I guess if you yeah, a syntax for multiple terms could work, but I've also got a limit on how many returns we do for each search. And maybe if you did some really specific search terms. And layer togger is going to be kind of a rework for everything. But I wouldn't mind redoing the sidebar system either. I mean, these things could be the same. I just have to have some way to flip this. Have like a sub tab or something. Anyway. To get some color feedback, I'm either going to have to ask the map what color it is, or I'm going to have to replicate the colors on the other end. Which, it's not a hard formula. We'll have to see if it actually worked out the same. Oh, I never actually pulled in the diamond icon. Well, maybe I'll have to add an icon and then just not use it until things get fully propagated. No. Did I just implement that inline? It was a object search overlay. Did I implement it in an overlay? It was the original life search overlay, which I never renamed that. Object layer pixel, which is a different thing. Object point overlay. Maybe not? Not draw tiles separate. Oh, nope, I implemented it inline. Maybe in the original thing I was trying to avoid a function call there? I know I abstracted these. Yeah. So this is currently duplicated twice. Let's see, alpha. I was doing global alpha there. I could... that should probably be separate from the color choice. So all our color functions, now these are all player IDs. So that's a little bit different. Color map. Oh, that's a different coloring method. Well, but that doesn't account for what the background color might be. So as a function, it'd be easier to swap that out. Actually, I don't have to put color lineage too, because it's sometimes we're getting some dark ones. Yeah, those are all life point overlay. So, maybe that. I have two things that could use that. That's actually, is that more or less the same as some of these? This is as a special case for greenish. Actually, you're RGB. You are RGB. Oh, wait. I was doing HSV to RGB. And then returning RGB. Apparently I can just use HSL. So it's not... that's probably the argument from HSV to RGB. Okay, so I did use this elsewhere. But... although I could probably have just done HSV? Maybe with some unit conversion all the same. Oh, and this was using it directly because we had to be writing pixel data. So there is a reason for that. And this is where I got that formula from. We're only using the ID of it. So really, we should be able to do, now there's some unit conversion here. Well, oh, your percent. And you were actually doing some other calculations. So that was doing divided by 360. I think this one... percent 359, yeah. That's just that. Now, saturation and lightness, we're doing like plus 33, so this is going to be like 100%? So perhaps a little bit awkward there. Okay, so context.fillStyle. And I think my other use of this... okay, so we also had something else that was doing that kind of thing. Oops. Oh, then this one was kind of inline, so it doesn't work out as nice. And we left placement in. Gee, that seems to be all white. Maybe that was a different HSL system? Because that was 1-1, but the syntax seemed to suggest it was percent. That looks like... So it's saturation and lightness. Okay, so which one was it? Well, I thought saturation would give you full color. Oh, yeah, maybe there are two different systems of saturation and lightness. They're just like HSB. So 50% I think here is going to be color. Because like one is like dark to light, and the other is like full black, medium, which is full color, and full light. And this appears to be full light. Although my other HSL little thing used the other form, so that's interesting. And then there was color object. Well, that might get us, yeah, because that gives us a certain... Is this the right one? Then I get entirely different results. Oh, you know what? This might have a little bit of a linear relationship with the object IDs, and some of these are going to be similar, perhaps. The sort of scattered version is going to be better at distinguishing similar things. Okay, well, all that is a function abstraction, which reduces this down nicely to that, which is small enough that it could be duplicated. Oh, actually, yeah, okay, this is element fine. You don't seem to have a color package. Okay, well, is RGB here? Element exposing. Oh, do you not have RGB, RGB, from RGB, to RGB? Yeah, so I'm gonna have to like either find a package or duplicate the algorithm to use this color. And that's just from element. Now I'm curious if this is done in a way that could be compatible with something else. Now I did have an internal thing which might have color. It's not color per se. Oh, right, because this is element, and then we also have element. Oh, and there's color. Oh, no, it's internal RGBA. So color is just itself. Internal.color. Model or style? Nope, there's color. And it's literally represented as it is RGBA. So that's going to be a custom construct we can have access to. So the only way to interface with color in this thing well, I could maybe do like an HTML element that had a custom style tag, which might be able to take HSL. Because it's going to be some kind of icon anyway, although I presume that I was somehow able to... so like one of those is target, tab header, icon. So if the icon would be in a thing that had a certain color, other icon. So this is already something that's turning into HTML. Being kind of a, because that's wrapping the HTML into an element, so reusing that with a color would be a little bit weird, perhaps. Although I suppose some color conversion would be perhaps a generally useful facility. There's probably packages for this. It's like, do I want an entire package to... That's the standard representations, which this is not necessarily a standard representation. The color schemes, or is this just the same colors? Okay, it's just predefined colors. The standard color type, which is not going to be compatible. Well, I mean, it has the ability to do the conversions, it appears. We can create them from anything, and from, and to. So it would do the conversion. Create colors. Okay, now these are interesting. This is something that one of the Ruby packages I used for the family trees did. You could like... This says... Yeah, but does this verify, or does this give you something that does? Yeah, oh yeah, because charts and graphs. So this is interesting. Okay. So there's just a bunch of named colors. Now you see, this is a bool. So this is for like a color picker. It doesn't necessarily have something that will say, give me a contrasting version of this color. Although I guess you could use this to do like a binary search of colors until it got good enough or something. Okay, so solid color has from HSFill to HSL, solid color, solid color. That's just a tuple. Probably is not treating alpha. Oh, well now. Oh, okay, here we go. Find a high contrast color. Oh, only returns black or white. But we've got the we've got lightning and darkening, we've got rotation, sort of the color math. Am I gonna be doing that much color here? So this would be really good stuff to use in making the colors, maybe? I don't know if it'll work exactly for this. Right now, I only need it for format conversion. Or if I wanted to do something like... I don't know if it would work for biome palettes, because you want to have generally something suggestive of the underlying biome. Just picking random colors wouldn't go so good. Going okay. My library doesn't do HSL, so I've got to either re-implement the conversion or grab an entire library to do that. I'm debating whether I want to have a library. Now, I do have kind of a palette thing, and I could perhaps redo this in terms of some of the lighten and darken and... Well, the contrast is just white and black, so that wouldn't necessarily get some of the... I'm not using a whole lot of direct white and black. Yeah, sorry. I thought you might be at least familiar with some of the color scheme names. Those aren't that uncommon, and could at least come up in arts and other fields. Being able to generate themes off of an input might be interesting. Oh, you know what? This looks like a typo. Oh, there is a transparent color. I wonder if that's an internal module. Or maybe this is like the in-development version? Oh yeah, there's transparent color. Hmm. Interesting. So I think Elm will cut out stuff that's not being used directly. Maybe that's only an optimized build. This is palette generation and the stock palettes, and then internal stuff, which is actually a surprising amount. Well, this is just kind of the conversion function, which is what I would essentially have to implement. Am I going to be doing that much color stuff here? It's like I need to do that. Well, I don't necessarily want to stop to implement it, and if I do any significant color stuff, some of this will be useful. Of course, I went and made a name called palette. I don't know if palette is an actual type. Solid color, solid color. Well, this gives you... Yeah, these are very small sets, so there's not anything that's actually called a palette, I don't think. Or a data type, at least. Although if I wanted to have a palette module to have my light and dark palettes, that'd be a little bit of a problem. Right now, I'm only using the conversion stuff. I don't know if I want solid color. Oh, so actually it's not even palette, it's solid color. I can probably just reference those for... Am I going to have functions doing that? Let's see. I need to... The formula I'm using right now is a from HSL. I have to go to RGB, and then I have to convert that into a UI color. So maybe there's room for a conversion to do all of... Well, at least to return a UI color. In which case, do I want to say solid color, not solid color? This is going to be kind of support, some more colored stuff. Oh, and I've still got this whole scaling issue I haven't really dealt with. All right, so you are going to take a actually object ID. I'm not sure I normally treat that as an int, but it kind of is an int. And we're going to return, I don't know if I pulled out color from package. Oops, I clicked straight through this, didn't I? So element palette color we can probably refer to. So we get an ID, we take nope. We take that. And then we do solid color. That's gonna be a triplet of some sort, isn't it? And I think that might actually be. See, this is a different thing. This is going to be a from HSL, which wants to be a tuple. I don't know if we've got a convenient method to do that. This is only pair tuples. Maybe like a triple or something. So I guess we would actually do this. Now, do you document which scheme you use? Hue is in degrees. Saturation is 0 to 100, and lightness is 0 to 100, so that's kind of the second model we were using. All right, 2 RGB. Now we're back into a triple. And element, I think, takes it as separate arguments in all of its forms. Also, do you return? You return, no, it's from RGB, but I presume they're floats, but they're 255s. Oh, but they are floats. Those are ints. Red float, green float, blue float. So I either have to do the division multiplication or I have to do the type conversion. I guess the math is more compact. Oops. GF. Did I actually restart the compiler here? Oh, yeah, these don't have commas. So killer. Oop. It's capital RGB. We can presume that it's HSL then. Yeah. Well, this was from JavaScript, so I suppose that would have to be what's our argument order on that? Let's dot map remainder by 4. So I think that kind of works. Argument is number. Oh, so it's leaving these ambiguous. Oh, you actually are an int. But this library takes floats. Let's see, is that a basic thing or is that like a inter float? Yep, there's, okay, just 2 float. Piping into a function that expects a single float. It says it's that thing. The argument is float. Oh, it's not tupled. Oh, and tuples are common. Now we actually have to use it. Let's see. Can we do something stupid simple first? Object search. This is more like object search results. So object result. Show matching objects. Show matching object. Okay, that all kinds of didn't work. For one thing, it only affected the undertext. Oh, because that was the label of the checkbox. So for one, we'd have to have it here. And for two, it's coming out black. Okay, well, first of all, this should have been 50. So actually, that's sounds correct. Yeah, Flint and Flint chip came out the same, more or less. They're probably like consecutive IDs. There's no well, I guess I know they're not going to be super dark, but I think this really does need to be a separate thing so that the actual text is readable. Or I could maybe attempt to use that background and then use contrasting color to get something over it. But really, it is going to be, well, it's going to be a transparency on a different background. So to get it, well, there's no guarantee that it's the default background if we were in a world that actually had biome data. That green might actually not show up on green. That might be an issue. Not yet considered. All right, so what we really want to do. So in the ideal world, this is part of the label. And we made a separate function of that. No, it's just title text. And I had a function for this in lives, didn't I? Well, you didn't have checkboxes. And the underline is kind of a separate thing here, so we can't really do that part of it. Otherwise, like I could do, instead of moving it over, I could have the icon be the thing here. That would make you text being put into an element. So that's going to change that a little bit. Because you have to become a row. Or you have the font color. Nope, not the row. The row doesn't have the font color. I don't yet know if the row's going to have anything. And then we've got elements, one of which, you're going to have the font size, what you're going to have. And you're going to have adders text, and then this was just padding to move it over. And then what are you going to be? You're going to be, in order to apply the color here, we're going to need an element. And then an icon target. Expects 2 arguments. Oop. We had that space there before. It looks a little bit weird when there's no subtitle. It would almost have to be transparent color to properly represent, although it could look very different in different scenarios. Okay, from color and to color. Okay, drop the information. But what does this mean for what I'm trying to do with it? I guess I would have to go to string. I guess I have to go to RGBA, and now it's a structure, which would get imported differently. No. And I could do it from HSLA by specifying my alpha. But these feel like they might not be representative at full brightness. Yeah, the Flint and Flint chip thing's kind of unfortunate. And they probably have similar IDs. And it may have been very similar to that. I thought the formula was actually, I mean, it's times a large number, but it didn't help that much. I guess this is close to a 10 times that, even though it's a prime. And part of the challenge is that we don't necessarily these aren't going to necessarily be on a dark background. So putting the transparency effect, I'm not sure is going to be a good representation of what it's going to look like. And really, I could probably just darken them down since it's on basically a... Well, that depends on the theme we're in. Still, it ought to give some sense of its transparency. All right, so actually we don't even need solid color right now. And actually we didn't end up using the type either. All right, you are different. Actually, no, I could continue to do this. I'm not doing anything that really matters to the transparency here. I could just construct an RGBA at the end. Hmm. I guess that's right. I kind of lost some detail on that one, which this one, I mean, I guess a just removed would show up on the map, perhaps even more so than that. I don't know. And it's a time transition, but usually when you do that, you do something with it so it's not going to stick around to see what that color looks like. Parts. Yeah, now we need lock and key parts. And it's one of those dark colors, which actually doesn't show up very well. Doesn't look like... Looks like a key of some sort. So if I leave it bright, it's not going to be a good representation of the on-map color. If I leave it dark, some of them just don't look good. There's going to be anything back here at this time. Most of the trucks will probably be brought forward. Oh, well, there's something there. No, truck chassis. Yeah, we hit a lot of the same colors again. So we are hitting two different colors. It's almost like maybe it's bouncing back and forth on two opposing colors. And what I didn't have was typically I wasn't able to see these colors all next to each other very often. Actually, I need more than 100. $1,000? I mean, I chose the 3,000 last time. Maybe I chose that from a list that was like good prime numbers for like hash tables. Yeah, something like this. That is... Or maybe I picked this as like one of Jason's numbers or something. I mean, here's a... Oops. Here's a very similar one. Of course, it's like relative to what? Yeah, still got a lot of green-purple going on. Did I even make a difference? It's a little bit better spread. I mean, we're seeing like a purple, a cayenne, or like a pink, purple, red, cayenne, different red, some yellowish. Yeah, some of these get faint too. Oh, interesting. We've got this thing down there. I don't know if maybe it doesn't have height or something because we don't have the text there. Maybe it's some kind of replacement thing. So that is fairly accurate to what that color is. Although it will depend on what we're looking at. I guess that's still sort of accurate. Versus, let's see, I think this is full visible. I mean, you can tell. Why does this seem slower now? I don't know, this one changed much. It kind of moved where some of the blues and purples are. Actually, that's like a lot of flint arrowheads. No, that's a... Oh, okay, well, yeah, matching... I have to change both of them. Yeah. I was thinking about matching. I have to change both of them. And I guess that one would show up in a couple of places. Yes, that does change the overall look of it a bit, because flint chip was one of the really common one. I know Rhodes did out okay before. Now it's green instead of purple. And then down in the desert, we've got roadkill snakes. Pave doesn't actually show up, unfortunately, because I don't have... The paver is not a player placement. I think you get into overlaps like this, and it starts to return to being that color. So we're probably fine. It's a slightly different color selection for this. No, that's database stuff. Yeah, that was the data server. I didn't really do anything with this one since I brought it up. Oh, what I didn't do here was set up to get a proper icon in here later. Now, this tends to drift. So I think we need to leave it at that, and then get an icon deployed this time so we can switch to it later. Oh, I still got the last one here. There's the last zip. Maybe it was only the zip, because then I moved it. All right, things that changed are going to be that, which would have to go fix some names. Actually, I'm only adding an icon here. They call that locate. It's a very, very simple shape. It just, yeah, which works. All right, so, and put that at the top. Okay. Defs. Symbol ID icon target. Yeah, and then the path is part of that. So I can't actually use that. Well, I can use it here just to make sure it works. But I don't want to commit that yet. Changed all the files. Well, I think some of those might just be like line endings. You know what else? I accidentally did this, hoping it would do that. This is really just a helper library. So this is a UI problem. This is kind of a UI problem, although I could have something that just went in and toggled the layer everywhere. I have to do some serious rethinking of how things are set up to make it actually a separate layer, so to speak, because it ends up getting tied in with all the data as we change worlds. All right, that was for object checking. No. Object, not search. Object point. overlay. And do I have anything else like this that toggles a bunch of individual things? Life data is one big overlay. Special placements is kind of an option. But it has to do with the generation. Of them. Actually, update worlds. I go through all this. Nope, actually, that's not it. Update worlds. Base layer by time. We go through a bunch of conditions, and then we separately determine whether to turn this one on. So we can just do a check for virtual layer visible. All right, so virtual layers, let's see, I think fade is technically a layer, monuments are technically a layer. Special placements is a virtual layer. That gets inserted later. This would probably be kind of like this one. Data overlay is a layer group. And then here's the on add, on remove, which does the control stuff. So we would have to do a base layer update. And fade just ended up being a regular layer. Oh no, we did some things in the background. Which maybe not I shouldn't do. Oh no, you are a virtual layer and I just fade things out. So you're kind of like data overlay. Actually, some of the setup is more like data overlay because it's a point overlay. Object overlay. All right, map, sure. Oh, I guess this could have kind of been a legend. That would have had all the color determination in the same spot. Actually, base layer by time. You do take a map. Map time. Are you actually added or removed at this point? That's an interesting question. Or do I have to like do a timeout for it to properly respond to that? Similar to maybe some of this stuff. All right. Span, span, span. Pick the span. You don't actually do any layer detection here. Oh no, it has layer. So we've got target world, target span. We've got target span, target world, data animated. So that might just be a global flag. Is that a layer object or a layer name? Well, we should have a layer name for it. Also, data overlay is the thing that actually gets added. Even though it may not have anything. And I don't know if I can use this to determine the UI because both of these layers could just be turned on. And I think that one's just even turned on by default. This might end up being turned on by default too. Oh, maybe it's actually this that turns it on? All right, base layer by time. Although I guess nothing is changing except this, except I have to go through every single thing and do this. Right now it is indeed not data animated, and it is indeed that point layer. But this is anding down to an actual value, so we have to do it before this. Object overlay. Now I still have other things that turn that off right now. Okay, so it is not active by default, which means I'm probably going to need some things that make it active by default. Set data layers, if not visible, make it visible. So right now I am... If you search, it stays up. It's kind of what I want with this. So object search. I still have some ambiguous terms here. Highlight objects. Oh, maybe I should have used that terminology. Because this... Right now we're blanking the array, and I think I would... Because this affects... Even if it's not visible, then I might need to be watching that visible status. To treat that as a clear. So that all of these things stop actually processing it. But that's the only place I remember that. So I'd have to say, well, if it turns back on, then we need to get the list again. Okay, yes, this might be that timing issue I was concerned about. No, I've broken something else. Oh, for one thing, well, this is only, that doesn't help. That is only the remove side. Yep, wrong thing. Oh, was I asking the wrong thing here? About, because that's a whole base. I might need to be asking map here. I think a whole base is like a subgroup. Yeah. So that gets turned on by default, but right now we only blank it. Well, no, the reason we're setting that ID is because it's in this layer. So the only thing to watch out then would be that if, when we do... Well, leaflet will stop asking it to draw. If we're not searching... I guess maybe that should be more object search. No, actually, that was the title. Well, this is now our longest title. Oh, no special placements. Right. Right, I probably send an empty set on setup here. Oh, well, now we have opened it. Okay, yeah, off by default. Maybe IDs isn't what I think. Oh, no, reference IDs, message.IDs. And that's visible. Now if we close that, well, we're blanking the list. Not necessarily turning it off. But you can close this when you're doing a life set, and I think that might be the kind of thing you want to do. So that means we would have to not blank that, because I was following the individual life search, which isn't quite so useful. Highlight objects, leaflet highlight objects. That's so it can start out with it if there is something there. Set.FromList IDs, that's probably fine. Select matching object. Set.empty. Well, it is turning everything off. That's fine. It's when we do a sidebar command and send this or that. Now, am I also relying on that to turn it on? I think right now we're counting on a search being done or you toggling the sidebar yourself. So I probably put this in just to do this. Well, it's also doing search overlay. So it starts out off. We can do that. We can now close the sidebar. We can go into life sidebar. If we turn off everything, it still turns off. It's visible, but it has nothing. It's not searching for anything. I don't know if we got a shortcut there. We can close this. We can scroll around. Somebody broke all the flint. Must have been a jackpot. All right, so commit that. I think I'm using Leaflet's list of tiles to determine what to search. And if it's not visible, hopefully that won't exist. I guess what I can check. That's on create tile? Can we like recreate it? Oh. Yeah, that might be a thing for animation. What do I do? Well, I update options, but we're doing the filter on creation? just a grid layer. Does that mean we recreate it? Yeah, okay, so updating the options recreates it. All right, so this is on, that's on. Moving it creates the new ones. If we turn this off, okay, so leaflet will not do that search if it's not visible. So I guess that leaves us, what can we do, and does it make any sense in animation mode? So object point overlay. So did point overlays have an alternate thing, or were they just in time mode? Life anim overlay. I did do that separately. How separately? Interactive, life anim overlay, life point overlay. You just have time defined? Do I need you to be alternate? Or is that what I'm looking at to determine what some of the animated buttons are? If data animated. Data min max. Redraw. Point overlay. An anime overlay is one would have to get time. I guess that makes for a very direct method of toggling it. Okay, so you get updated when we update time. And then the static overlay does not get updated. Now, that's only dealing with one data set. So while it's true that that might be able to be reduced down to 1, the actual tile layers are going to be pretty... Well, the drawing might not be different. Let's see. So object anim, object maplog, no, maplog layer, create arc maplog layer. So yeah, we have maplog sprite and we have key place sprite, which is one is a static image. One has to deal with a log. Create layer, tile at, update tiles. And they use the same drawing routine, so you're preparing a list of things. Key placement sprite. Initialize, create tile, and that's it. So my point overlay ran if we had a time value. You set all that stuff up, and they shared a sprite layer renderer. And I think that my point layer did end up differing from key place. Object point overlay. So create tile would have been derived from that. Get tile, do all of that. Get tile, I mean, this is a lot of comments actually. It had to load images before it drew itself. It does a size filter, you do a highlighted filter. You load images before you draw. This defines its own draw, because it's the only thing doing that right now. And then the update, I think, was kind of a, well, we might need to update this if we make it the same. But if you're updating, then you're going to look a lot more like a Maplog sprite. Which does its fetch and then calls its tile at to determine what to do with all of that. And then update tiles is tile at and then draw. All right, so this is your time calculation. Well, what does search mean here? There's two ways to look at it. One is I want to look at this moment in time and find the highlighted objects there. The other is there's some rare object and I want to know where it ever was. Where it ever was is not too different. Thank you. I do forget about that. Which is the way I put it there. It would really just be searching through a much larger collection of things. So that could be some sort of option. At which point we'd have to consider how to implement that. We'd almost have so that'd be the animated layer and the static layer. Well, I guess in this view, the anim layer is loaded. Well, and ever was isn't a thing we're going to support in client-side search. It would only be in the current chunk, which isn't a concept that is anywhere exposed right now. So that's probably not really a great thing to support from a user interface perspective anyway. It means people might have to go in and scrub around, which may not be great experience either, but the behavior will be consistent with what we're displaying on the map. And until I have some sort of time bar that represents spans and can maybe explain what's going on there, I don't think searching in the currently loaded time chunk is going to make much sense. So the question is, do we have a singular type of point overlay that can support two different modalities? Yeah, so in the life point situation, have I done anything yet? Because I did kind of want, where did I do my scaling? Now the implementation might be a little bit different. I'd kind of want to maintain the size as we zoomed in. Now it's just r equals 1. I don't think I vary my base. Oh, and then maybe I didn't end up using radius here. Or maybe that's the radius of the ring. For ease. Yes. That is like the ring radius. Yep. Okay. Well, that's gonna be defined once for scale. It doesn't need to be inside the loop. And then that would be where we got all these 3s down here. Oh, you're right. Well, that's what we're using for it. Oh, and you'd be there. Oh, I used a field that I did not use there. Yep. Did I use it somewhere? That's object point overlay. Apparently I did not consider the scale there at all. All right, layer options, tile size, they're probably somewhere around here. That seems to be very wrong. Yeah, so that apparently is not radius. Or it's coming out completely wrong. Well... The squares are kind of hard to read here. And they still seem to be getting pretty darn small. Oh, no, you're -3 and it was 6 by 6 because it was radius. Okay. Am I drawing anything? It only seems to be getting smaller. This is like... oh, I wonder if I'm scaling this base layer differently. Oh, yeah, you were scaling to cell size, which would mess up everything I'm doing here, location-wise, perhaps. And then I had to counter scale my object points. But this one did not do any of that, so... Was I just relying on the map transformations for coordinates? Birth X, birth Y. Yeah, okay, and then translate the point. So it's going to be a little different formula here. It may not depend on cell size at all. Well, it's going to depend on zoom somehow. Oh, also you were radius 5, so that would be... So this is actually backwards. So what do we need to do for this? See, so this was... I forget if cell size was going up or down. 0.2514. Oh, this must have been in terms of 1-to-1. So what would my radius be? Well, if we go radius 3, in theory, that would put us back to what we had before. It's always the same on-screen size. I want it to get a little bit bigger as we zoom in. I don't necessarily know if I want it to get any smaller out here. Because that's what I think that's what the POW 0.6 kind of did that. Maybe I need to do this in terms of zoom instead of cell size. So before we had, what do we have? We had cell size. Which was an exponentially increasing thing. And maybe I already calculated something like this. As being large, it's that when that cell size is small. So we have cell size. We might have to do this in terms of, let's see, so for this, we're leaving scale alone. Would it just be something like that? Anything works. Oh. That's different. Okay, so first of all, it's too big. And that's too small. When we get, so if that was just times 0.6, we are both too big and too small. Will this be like an x over... Well, if we look at this end, that's even smaller. We are looking at increasing the size. So it'll be a smaller lift as a 3 plus. See, now this is still this thing, not the other one I did. So we're getting maybe a little bit of point overlap at that level, but it is either easier to track people as you zoom in. Because I typically get lost when you start going into these towns. Now I think I saw some ring issues earlier, which makes me think my Eve thing is messed up. No, that would be the yeah, I think I need to adjust the way I'm doing those, because those are supposed to be a little mark, not a... I guess they do need to scale, but... line width. Is that going to be right? Anyway, this would be a quick, easy thing. That's more like what I wanted. Can we... So, yeah, they were always a little bit bigger. I'd have to fiddle with things some more to make like the base size a little smaller and the line width a little bit smaller. Maybe it's just the line width. Well, no, if you're making it that radius and then going the line out, it's almost necessarily going to be a bigger circle. It's back to the same outer side, but it's like too much empty space. That's a little bit too small. So maybe it's like 7.5, 7.5? No, I was doing 0.8 before, so it had to be more than that. That has about the right effect. And I guess those are okay for the eaves. That's like really far out. Yeah, that still kind of works. Well, she scales a little bit differently. Oh, this is a fixed line width for one. And the ring was a little bit separate, but... it's kind of okay. Oh, did I end up using... didn't end up using cell size. All right, so got that. Do I try to do like a reuse drawing routine? With 2 different data preparation steps. Or could I do one thing that only did the update tiles? Maplog sprite, and the base layer of sprite layer. It prepared data and it did the selection of stuff, which this is something that is a bit more involved here. I almost want something that's composition, not inheritance. Which I guess I could maybe do by pulling out functions instead of having layers. So you do define a bunch of options that are relevant for your rendering method. You define load images. You define a drawing method. That's a group of functionality. Key placement sprite layer. Gets a setting as an extra parameter. It has the setup function, which is slightly different for that. Whereas Maplog sprite does that setup, the initialization to catch the cache, custom create function, and then we've got the extra stuff for dealing with updates. So I think tileat's going to be basically the same. The tile fetch is a... Or kind of made the tile fetch roughly the same for those. Maybe we just have to do the highlight object. Well, highlight object filter. Oh, highlight object filter. I cannot pre-filter the data because all of the other objects are things that could potentially remove a highlighted object from the map. I might be able to kind of apply it. Well, you immediately draw. Oh, and you're checking for load images. And you're doing this. Oh, that's why you get different results. You always draw floors. Which might not be an entirely bad idea in general. Well, since we only go up to zoom 24, that's still something. You know, they're technically falling under the the size limit. Sort by draw order. Filter placements larger than. Key placement sprite was actually using that same filter placements function right now. Actually, we ended up reorganizing things so that worked. This would say it would have to exclude floors from that. Well, I don't have to use it this way. Although you return a function, so we have to do. You have to do that. Use the probably placement. And we want things. Where do we separate these? Oh, we pre-separated them. And we did that where? Oh no, or blah, 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 blah. Blah, blah, blah. Oh, if placement.floor. Or I guess this would be like or big enough. Okay. Well, that gives you some sense of towns. We're not, I think it was backed by these. Yeah, you actually had road networks. So that will cost a little bit in performance, but I think at this layer, I kind of wanted to start doing things like a pixel stand-in instead of attempting to draw an entire thing. But I have to define the colors for all that stuff. But this is performing okay for me. And I guess there's some drawing there, and that will just make towns a lot easier to pick out. And we've also solved the mystery of why that used to be different for animation layers. When I scale visibility, it was that floors were not going through that filter. Okay. I guess doing a floor check in placements larger than wouldn't. No, because we use this for. No, do we? We use it there. We use it there. A floor check could have been in placements larger than. It's just assuming that a floor is a large enough object. Because it just wouldn't matter here. It'd just be extra code to do. But now we got the extra function call there, so kind of a wash. I guess it's handling more data. I kind of want to do, we assemble objects from a bunch of functions. Well, our maplog sprite cannot just be used as is. Well, no, because it's doing a size filter. And the maplog layers are already doing their own size filter. So that's a factor that we have to explain somehow. So that's the thing you would want to search, the current image. And we're not doing load images, although I could perhaps fake that out. Because I'm not super thrilled about the prospect of duplicating this much code for the search. Maybe I could extract something to do with getting to this point. And then we would just have, oh, we did end up there in the other window. We would just have that load images, draw tile check. That wouldn't be so bad. This ends up doing a bunch of stuff on tiles. We could just pass the tile to it. Well, tileat does that. Anything with this only down here where we do the load image call. Update tiles isn't as bad. Size-wise. Object point overlay. Your draw function. Do you really need done? Well, we do that because the create tile has it. But it's always if. So that must be compatible. I guess we would have a different wrapper that would get a different type of cache. We have the data time and the current time. Time, right. And the base time so that we can get the current total image. Because we have a base layer and then we have all of the changes that occurred during the span. So given a tile and a time, let's be like a generic tileat function. It would just get those arguments. Our key placement at time. You wouldn't have to wait for objects to load. Create tile would look very similar. Assign the data, update our time. I could almost say that there's a set of functions that defines some sort of maplog layer. Well, no, what's different is... Oh, no, this is different. I guess we could do... What we do with the other one is we prepare the entire thing, and then we have to filter it, which is some more object allocation, because we've got all the floors now. And more stuff to sort. How big a difference does this make, given that the map data has excluded it? Oh, that makes a pretty big difference, actually. Oh, that was all the stand-ins. But we apparently included a lot more detail than we can immediately draw there. Must be using a different size filter. Well, that means more stuff will be searchable, I guess. So either this thing has to get a filter function to apply there, and actually in that case it would apply to floors as well. Well, that would be the simplest way to do it, wouldn't it? How bad is doing that? Oh, that would make it apply to floors. Maybe you just have to include floor. And this other thing could become much simpler. And I didn't measure it, but that doesn't seem noticeably worse. Let's see. So we've got a total process. Those are the only things we're interested in. What was the console.time? Do you have chords? Got tile.chords. Okay, so only doing the objects. Although we did add that floor check in there, which is something extra. Oh, because we're not because we're not even in animation mode. Well, basically not measurable. It seems like more of them, which is weird. That actually does seem like a difference, doesn't it? We're applying it to more objects and some of them are just floors. Well, okay, it's measurement noise. And then we just changed this. So maybe yeah, that's the change we made. So this can actually go back. Did I go ahead and include that in it? Because that's kind of what we're moving around. Well, it's not really the thing we just did here. So we move that to you. I guess I would actually calculate the key place and then assign it, and then we would do a filter as we did that. So I mean, it is kind of tile at. Oop, we got some desync. Again, the tile has, when using this, we assign coords to the tile so we can get that information. I think since we're going to replace this with the filters, we're just going to return this. Then the question is, did we... I don't think we reused any other... Well, we calculated min size there. That doesn't use anything else. That's one of the larger pieces of the logic. And this isn't an area that has evolved at all recently. Where's the active zone? Oh, we were playing. Well, I guess we want active area. Well, that built up nice and fast. Oh, uncut exception, the operation is insecure. The location or history APIs within a short time. The operation is oh, browser replace URL. That's a new one. Is that part of the 461, 461? I can't even browse the source. Too many calls to location or history APIs in a short time frame. No. No one has ever heard of this before. So yes, we were dragging time. I mean, I guess we have to do a kind of debounce on it. Now, that is map UI, actually. Why are you... Oh no, yeah, map UI. That is the Elm. This is probably library code. History.replace state. Browser replace URL though. So this does get called more than one place. Let's say a move end. That's... Oh, we probably... Do we have playback? Maybe there was a point where we did. Or like scrolling during playback. That might have been it. Oh. Nope, I just scrolled too fast. I just shut down. How about this one? Cookies enabled. Domain. No, that's different. So it's probably related to this. Wait, you actually have scheduler step, send app. Yeah, this is like somewhere in the Elm engine after it got a message that time changed. Which I thought those events ran. Huh. I guess I also do some sort of timer thing, assuming I'm keeping time in my model. I have to keep some sort of status that's like the time updated, and then we have a. If that is the case, then we start a timer. When the timer expires, we update the URL. Or we set it up so that. What is our leaflet event for this? Do I send that directly? No, because all the hookups should be here. It's command. Overlay add. Is it all move end? No, that's XYZ. So playback would come from within Elm. No, actually the time slider is within Elm. This isn't even a map thing, I don't think. Unless something in here. Are we sending current time? No, this is a command. I need my events, move end, let points, data range, toggle. No. You actually don't send time at all. So I have to handle this with an Elm. I need to replace URL calls. It's possible I have like a couple of different places that are doing that. Add command, replace URL command. What I really need is a reason. Oh, this is just misindented? Okay. No. Might have worked. And what are you? You look like playback. Oop. And oop. I must have copied this code from the other spot. Check default center update. And set time. There's quite a few places that do it. Oop. This is Rebuild Worlds. Set server update. There's a lot of reasons to replace the URL. Okay. That was a... Oh, because it's probably getting the entire state. Well, that could make things real slow then. Yeah. Because I end up serializing the entire thing. So we're not going to get that same rapid update. Just having the debug.log at all might be a problem. I kind of want to make replace URL take an argument now. I don't really care about any of the data in here, I don't think. Oh, I guess I could be doing that too instead of putting it inline. Except that's awkward to do. Okay, compiler is okay. So this, oh, nope, there it is. So it's all map time calls. I mean, we added an argument to replace URL and the compiler was happy with it, so we got all of them. I mean, unless there's something else that's touching it, but I don't think so. There's like, I think this is the only file that can send commands. View.maptime, which means it's going to come from the slider. So I guess I have to debounce it? It won't really matter if the URL lags a little bit. It's just very weird. And well, actually, it's already broken, so. Yeah, these don't come in as rapidly because it's only at the end of a drag. Do I have any information about that from... I think you only have one message. Yeah, you just have on change. So you don't have, like with a typing control, you have individual characters and you have committed. I basically have to implement that myself. So we know it's map time. So there are several reasons to replace URL. Center, that does do a map time up to, that is playback, but oh geez. What if you did something silly? Huh. I guess I can go faster than... Oh. I guess not. Well, exact match. And there's history API. Not sure if it's location or history. I just have to debounce it. Because they're being silly. But that does mean that there's two places at least that I have to consider this. So what I might need to do, since playback is only going to do time, you're going to do center, so we could just do it. You're going to do map time, and this is specifically set time. But I think this is going to be for other purposes. So I think this is we changed server, which is not going to happen too fast. So I think we have to keep two times in the model. A map time and a URL time. When they diverge, we set a timer. You know, which in practical terms could be even 1 second, and it'd almost always be updated before you needed to grab it. I guess the only thing that could get weird is if we did like a move end while that was happening and we got back a parsed URL that had the old time in it, which is kind of the thing I was trying to avoid with managing everything here. So this affects our model. Or maybe when I'm looking for change, I compare it to URL time. Map UI. So actually, we're not going to send immediate commands on you. And I wasn't even updating the URL on these. So this is actually kind of good in that it makes it reactive to the model. So you're doing a range restriction, which wouldn't necessarily need to update anything. Well, if it didn't change, it'd be fine. Playback. That does handle the not known case. So we're going to rely on the timer to do U. Equals nothing. Set time. This is model.map time. To a certain time, if model.map time, well, as far as do we need to update, so the only thing that would be weird here is if we got some other URL event. Maybe set time. Oh, this is like if we had no known time, which this didn't even have a replace URL, I don't think. Maybe we were calling set time? Huh. No, so there's a question. Do we always send the map time or the URL time? See, is this parsing or is it updating the model? So this must be parsing. And this is if not equal, which is where we're going to have to maybe get very careful about that. That's switching. That's switching. Okay, I need a message. Did not define that in model. So there's a play event. There's a current time event. There's playback. There's current URL. I mean, maybe there's other ways that I want to do that. You're going to be a time event. So you're going to get POSIX, although I could probably throw it out since I really don't care in this case. Unless I ended up wanting to do some sort of like last time updated thing. So well, now my compiler is going to start complaining about that if we save it. So I did it near playback, below playback. Oop. Don't care. And was replace URL. It was taking a model and a command. Which, of course, we don't have another model and command in this case. Wait a minute. Is this replace URL? Well, I had my message in there. Add command is stringing that into there. So really, I just need replace URL command. I don't have my little update message, but I think that can go away after we fix this. Oh, actually, we do have an updated model here. But I don't think it affects what replace URL does. Model where URL time equals model.map time. Replace URL command model. So I might actually want something in here just to track it, since we lost our other one. Subscriptions. So it's going to be very like this. Not quite so detailed. It's just straight up if. Not equal to model.map time. Then, even 1 second would be fine. Doesn't need to be animation rate. Wait a minute. Update URL. Else, and this is actually the none. This was an overkill copy. Yep. That is a little bit of an odd feature, so that might actually be worth documenting. No, that's it. Nope. I put a message in there. I haven't seen it fire once. I am seeing the URL update, though. Oh. And it probably could go faster than that. I'm actually a little bit curious about what the allowed rate is, because that's such a weird bug. Well, we know 60 was doing it before with playback. But with the timer on there, it's not triggering. Oh, 243. I wonder if it's a certain number in like a minute? Well, I guess I could have messed with this and just in this frame rate. We had to get to like 240 last time before it triggered. And that's certainly plenty fast enough. It really doesn't even need to be that fast. I mean, that would be 10 frames per second. Not quite so slow. But it'd still track pretty well. Okay. And then replace URL. I probably don't need the argument here anymore. It doesn't hurt a whole lot to leave it in here. In case we need to debug again. Oh, I was starting to extract you. Wait, don't add that file, because this ended up being an Elm thing. Alright, anyway, it's a bug. So this is like work, but I'm thinking about stopping for lunch. That might be a part of things we want to do. All right, so that is stuff that we could potentially item color, diamond icon for later, toggleable layer, larger floor, fix bug. And I still want to change those sometime. Well, that should be deployable. All right, that's it for now. Thanks for subscribers, people who hosted me. Let's see. Probably going to be doing 2 Life this afternoon. This would normally come back on Monday. That's my usual schedule. And goodbye.